Welcome to America's Here Language School. Learn English by living the language, without need for a passport, without needing to travel.
Audio tape test 1. Accident. You will hear an audio script concerning a mission-related topic. This script will be followed by a conversation between two persons. This conversation will relate to the script. You will hear the tape only once. You will make notes of the script and of the conversation. From these notes you will be instructed either to answer 10 questions or complete a written report of the incident. Good luck. On November 3, 2008 at 0900 hours, the Police National Operations Center received a report of a traffic accident at Orchard Junction near Timor Hotel at grid reference 831535. At 0902 hours Police Patrol Tango 20 was dispatched to the scene and they arrived at 0910 hours. Upon arrival, Patrol Officer Brian Martin saw a white UN Toyota Prado 4WD with registration UN 3685 in the middle of the intersection and a Honda motorbike, red in color with registration 6376 lying on its side of the road. Patrol Officer Brian Martin had a conversation with the driver of the UN vehicle, Mr. Michael Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez informed him that he was driving east along Orchard Road around 0900 hours when he saw a green truck in front of him brake suddenly. In order to avoid colliding with the truck, he swerved to his right. As he swerved, he noticed a red motorbike coming towards him from the other direction. He had no time to avoid the motorbike and he collided with it head-on. The rider of the bike was thrown into the air and landed on his right side. Mr. Gonzalez stopped his vehicle in the intersection and went to the assistance of the rider. The rider was laying on his right side and was bleeding from his right knee. He was also holding his right arm, which appeared to be broken at the elbow. He had bruising and grazing on his right forearm. Mr. Gonzalez then called the police on phone number 761-3456 and informed them about the accident. He told the police that his GPS unit showed the location to be at grid reference 831535. He then obtained a first aid kit from his vehicle and returned to the rider. He placed a bandage on his right arm and attempted to stop the bleeding to his right leg by pressing firmly on the wound. The bike rider informed Mr. Gonzalez that his name was John Lopez and he resided at Orchard. He said he tried to avoid the UN vehicle, however, his brakes were faulty and he could not stop in time. He asked Mr. Gonzalez to call his wife, Maria, on phone number 736-8181, which he did. A short time later an ambulance arrived from Comoro with 3 ambulance officers and Mr. Lopez was taken to Dili Hospital for treatment. Patrol Officer Martin asked to see Mr. Gonzalez's driving permit and he produced his UN driving permit number 6789993 with an expiry date of March 23, 2009. He then provided UN motor vehicle insurance policy number P15111971. Patrol Officer Martin then asked Mr. Gonzalez to undergo a breath analysis test which showed he had no alcohol in his system. He then asked Mr. Gonzalez if there were any witnesses to the incident. Mr. Gonzalez stated that 2 UN staff members stopped to assist. The first one was William Robinson, who works for WFP. The second witness, Tony Scott, works in Dili Police Station and gave his phone number as 730-2369. Patrol Officer Martin then inspected Mr. Gonzalez's vehicle and saw that the front left indicator light was smashed and the front bumper had a large dent in it. Inquiries are continuing. Conversation.
Hello, my name is Brian Martin. I'm the patrol officer from Dili Police Station. What is your name?
Good morning, officer. My name is Michael Gonzalez. I'm the driver of the UN vehicle.
I see the registration is UN 3685. What section do you work for?
I work at UNDP in Dili. I'm a local staff member.
What happened here?
Well, I was driving east along Orchard Road near Timor Hotel around 9 a.m. when a green truck in front of me braked suddenly. I swerved to my right to avoid hitting it, and as I did so I saw the red motorbike coming towards me.
What happened next?
Well, I didn't have time to stop, so unfortunately, I hit the motorbike head-on and the rider was thrown into the air and landed on his right side. I went to assist him and saw that he was laying on his right side, and he was bleeding from his right knee.
Did you help him?
Yes, I took a first aid kit from my car and applied pressure to the wound on his leg. I also put a bandage on his right arm which appeared to be broken at the elbow, and he had some grazing and bruising on his right forearm. He said his name is John Lopez and he resides at Orchard. Mr. Lopez said that he tried to stop but his brakes were faulty. I called his wife, Maria, to inform her about the accident.
What is her phone number?
7368181.
What did you do then?
I got my GPS out and saw that the location was grid reference 831535, and then I called the police.
Which number did you use?
7613456. After that an ambulance arrived, and the 3 ambulance officers assisted Mr. Lopez. They said they were from Camaro.
Can I see your driver's permit, please?
Yes, my permit number is 678,993, and it expires on March 23, 2009.
Do you have motor vehicle insurance?
Yes, the policy number with the UN is P151111971.
I will now require you to undergo a breath analysis test. Please blow into this tube. Thank you. Your test is negative. Were there any witnesses to the accident?
Yes, 2 UN staff members stopped to assist. One was William Robinson from WFP, and the other one was Tony Scott. He works at Dilley Police Station. He gave me his phone number as 7302369.
Is there any damage to your vehicle?
Yes, the front left indicator light is smashed and the front bumper has a large dent in it. Audio tape test 2. Firearm. You will hear an audio script concerning a mission-related topic. This script will be followed by a conversation between 2 persons. This conversation will relate to the script. You will hear the tape only once. You will make notes of the script and of the conversation. From these notes you will be instructed either to answer 10 questions or complete a written report of the incident. Good luck! On March 17, 2009 at 1800 hours the Police National Operations Center received a report regarding the theft of items including a firearm from the residence of an unpaul residing at a private residence in Delta. The unpaul gave his name as John Anderson and his mobile phone number was 7123670. John Anderson said he works at Bravo Police Station. Around 1830 hours a police patrol with the call sign Alpha 50 attended the residence which was situated in Paradise Street, Delta. The residence had a high green fence and a sign at the front saying Tropical Apartments. The officers who attended were Paul Lopez and Antonio Jackson from Delta Police Post. Upon arrival the 2 officers had a conversation with John Anderson who stated the following. He arrived home at 16:15 hours after finishing his shift at Bravo Police Station. At that time, he placed his Glock 17 pistol bearing serial number GP10046 and 2 magazines containing 14 rounds each in a cupboard in the bedroom at the front of the residence. The cupboard was made of thin wood and had a lock attached to the door. He locked the door and placed the key in his pocket before he left the residence to buy some food at Lita's supermarket around 16:30 hours. When Mr. Anderson returned to the residence at 17:45 hours, he discovered that the bedroom window had been smashed and the cupboard in the bedroom had been forcibly opened. The pistol and 2 magazines had been removed as well as a Canon camera valued at $250 and a Nokia mobile phone valued at $120. $300 in cash and his passport were also missing from a drawer next to the bed. Another unpaul residing at the residence, Peter Miller, also discovered that $125 in cash had been taken from a wallet which was on the chair in the bedroom. A red sports bag with the word Nike on it was also missing. Drawers had been tipped out on the bed, but nothing else was taken from the room. Mr. Anderson had spoken with the neighbors at the residence on the corner of Paradise Street and Beach Road. The neighbors stated that at 16:45 hours they saw a Timorese male leave the residence and speed off in a red car with registration 20-528 TLS. They described the male as being around 20 years old with long brown hair, and a mustache, wearing a red shirt, blue jeans and white shoes. The male was carrying a red bag. Mr. Anderson also discovered that there was a fingerprint on a piece of glass inside the bedroom. Officers Lopez and Jackson subsequently requested the National Operations Center to send a forensic unit to attend the scene. After taking the report, Officers Lopez and Jackson left the residence and continued to patrol the Delta area. A short time later, they saw a male fitting the description given by the neighbors walking along Beach Road towards Dilley. The male was carrying a red sports bag. They stopped the vehicle and approached the male, who dropped the bag and proceeded to run along Beach Road. The officers gave chase and caught him a short time later. The bag was recovered and the male was driven to the Dilley watch house, where he was questioned about the incident. All the properties stolen were found intact in the red sports bag and were placed in the exhibit room. The firearm was taken to the armory pending forensic examination. You will hear the conversation between Dilley District Commander and Paul Antonio Jackson shortly. Conversation. Congratulations, Antonio. Once again, you have managed to make a very good arrest. Keep up the good work. Thank you, sir. I was not alone, but was with Paul Pedro Lopez. Together we were in Alpha 50 Patrol Resource. Oh, I note that. You two make a good team. Can you briefly tell me the facts of the case, please? Sir, the complainant is Paul John Anderson, who works in Bravo Police Station. Our Paul? Where does he stay? Has he been informed of the arrest? Yes, sir. Paul Anderson stays in tropical apartments along Paradise Street. I had notified him through his mobile phone, number 7123670, pertaining to the arrest and the recovery of the item stolen. Excellent. Please proceed. According to Paul Anderson, he got home at 16:15 hours today and placed his Glock 17 pistol, bearing serial number GP10046, together with 2 magazines, each containing 14 rounds, in the cupboard in his room. He locked the cupboard and then went to Lita Supermarket at 16:30 hours. Did he lock it? Yes, he did, and put the key in his pocket. When he returned, he discovered that his bedroom window had been smashed and the cupboard was broken. His pistol and the 2 magazines were missing, along with a Canon camera valued at $250, a Nokia mobile phone valued at $120, $300 in, and his passport, which were all kept in a drawer next to the bed. Does he stay alone at the apartment? No, sir. Another Paul, namely Peter Miller, is also staying with him. Paul Miller discovered that $125 were stolen from his wallet, which was placed on a chair in the bedroom. A Nike red sports bag was also missing. Drawers were tipped out on the bed. No other thing was stolen. Are there any eyewitnesses? Yes, sir. Paul Anderson neighbors who live at the house on the corner of Paradise Street and Beach Road saw a Timorese male leave the apartment and speed off in a red car with registration 20 to 528 TLS. They described the male as being around 20 years old with long brown hair and a mustache, wearing a red shirt, blue jeans and white shoes. They said the male was carrying a red bag. What other incriminating evidence was found at the scene? A piece of glass with a fingerprint mark was found inside the bedroom. The forensic unit was summoned to the scene to dust and analyze it. Then, how did you manage to arrest the culprit? After attending to the case, we patrolled in the vicinity and spotted a male fitting the description given by the neighbors walking along Beach Road towards Dilley. When he saw us, he ran off along Beach Road. We caught him and brought him back to Dilley District. We recovered the exhibits, including the firearm, which is now in the armory waiting for forensic examination. Has the investigation officer been informed? Yes, sir. Excellent, Antonio. You and Paul Lopez have done us proud.
Audio tape test 3. Homicide. You will hear an audio script concerning a mission-related topic. This script will be followed by a conversation between two persons. This conversation will relate to the script. You will hear the tape only once. You will make notes of the script and of the conversation. From these notes you will be instructed either to answer 10 questions or complete a written report of the incident. Good luck. In a period of 1 year there had been 5 deaths in the village of Laga, Baucau district, which is located about 5 hours' drive from the capital, Dili. Local villagers thought this to be mysterious. The circumstances surrounding the death of the 3 males and 2 females made the villagers believe they were caused by witchcraft and black magic. Due to this belief, family members refused to allow the deceased to be autopsied. Though the villagers embrace Christianity, they still practice animism, a belief that was passed down from their forefathers for generations. A year had passed and the villagers were still talking about these mysterious deaths. They were trying to find out the person or persons responsible. There was a rumor spreading that Edward King, a 45-year-old farmer, his wife Maria Miguel, 43 years old and 2 children, Donald and Helena King, aged 23 years old and 21 years old respectively, were practicing witchcraft. Edward and his family live at the end of the village in an old thatched house and survive solely on vegetable farming. Though poor, Edward was able to support his family with the proceeds of selling their farm produce daily, whilst other farmers were struggling to make ends meet. This could be due to his diligence in working out in the farm with his family members. Edward also seldom socializes and mixes with the other villagers who indulge in cockfighting and drinking alcohol. Edward King will only meet the villagers once a week during the weekly church service. Even then it is only for a short time as he and his family leave for home once the service is over. Without realizing it, this has created a greater suspicion of him and his family. A few months ago, the youths wanted to confront Edward, but they were stopped by the village chief who felt that there was no evidence to suggest that Edward and his family were practicing black magic. Although the plan was intercepted by the village chief, the youths still intended to confront the family. One evening on the eve of Christmas, whilst Edward and his family members were having dinner, they were interrupted by loud banging on their door. Donald King rose from the dinner table to open the door. As he opened the door, he saw a group of 7 people outside his house. All of them covered their faces with black masks and dashed into the house. The first person to enter was believed to be a man, about 1.75 meters tall, with a coarse voice, and a black tribal tattoo on the right forearm. He took out a machete and slashed Donald's head. As he raised his machete, he yelled, "If my dead brother cannot celebrate Christmas this year, neither will you and your family." The machete landed on the right neck of Donald and he fell to the floor. The group then rushed into the house and started to attack and brutally slash Donald and his family. During the chaotic moment, Helena managed to run into her room and crawl under the bed. She was the sole survivor of the brutal attack. Though she survived, she sustained very deep cuts and slash wounds on both arms, body, shoulder, thigh and back. It was not known who reported the incident, but the police arrived at the house on the following morning at 11 a.m. They arrived at the bloodied house to find Donald's body near the door with a wide and deep slash wound on his right neck. Maria's body was found in one corner of the kitchen with slash wounds on her head, face, shoulder, abdomen and left rib. Edward's body was found in the dining room in a supine position. There were 15 stab wounds on his chest. His neck was almost severed. There were slash wounds on his thighs, legs, arms, face and abdomen. The police found Helena still hiding under a bed in the only bedroom. She was found crouching with both eyes wide open. She was trembling and traumatized. She was not able to respond to the questions posed by the police officer, Paul Gilbert Smith. She was immediately given medical attention and conveyed to the hospital. Police are still investigating the case as there were no eyewitnesses except for Helena, who is still traumatized by the incident. You will hear the conversation between Baucau District Commander and Paul Gilbert Smith shortly. Conversation. Good morning, Gilbert. I heard we had a serious homicide case in the village of Laga last night. What happened? Yes, sir, it was a strange case. There had been 5 mysterious deaths in Laga in the past year, 3 males and 2 females. The villagers believe the deaths were caused by witchcraft and black magic. Were autopsies carried out on any of the victims? No, due to these beliefs the families would not allow autopsies. The villagers have embraced Christianity, however they still practice animism, a belief that was passed from their forefathers for generations. Were there any suspects? No sir, but the villagers were still talking about the deaths and trying to find out who was responsible. There was a rumor that Edward King, a 45-year-old farmer, his wife Maria Miguel, aged 43 years, and his children Donald and Helena King, aged 23 years and 21 years, were practicing witchcraft. They live at the end of the village in an old thatched house, and they survive from vegetable farming. What happened with this family? Well sir, apparently the villagers became suspicious of the family because Edward hardly ever socialized or indulged in cockfighting or drinking alcohol. They were also suspicious because while other farmers struggled to make ends meet, Edward was always able to support his family from the proceeds of the farm produce. Even at church Edward and his family would leave straight after the service. Oh, is this the family the youths wanted to confront a few months ago? Yes sir, if you will remember, at that time the chief village stopped the youths because he thought there was not enough evidence to suggest that Edward and his family were practicing black magic. Although he stopped the youths, apparently, they still intended to confront the family. So, what happened last night, on Christmas Eve of all nights? Well sir, according to Helena, who was the only survivor, the family was having dinner when they were interrupted by loud banging on the door. Donald opened the door and there was a group of 7 people outside. They all covered their faces and ran into the house. Helena said the first person appeared to be a male about 175 centimeters tall, with a coarse voice and a black tribal tattoo on his right forearm. What happened then? Well sir, the male took out a machete and slashed Donald's head. As he lifted the machete, Helena said he yelled, "If my dead brother cannot celebrate Christmas this year, neither will you and your family." The machete got Donald on the right side of his neck and he fell to the floor. The rest of the group then rushed into the house and attacked and brutally slashed Donald and the rest of the family. What did Helena do at that time? How did she manage to survive? Helena managed to run to her room and crawl under the bed. Before she did though, she sustained very deep cuts and slash wounds on both arms, her body, shoulder, thigh and back. Who reported the incident? We don't know who reported it, the person remained anonymous. When did police get there? Sir, we arrived at the bloodied house at 11 a.m. and found Donald's body near the door with a deep and wide slash on the right of his neck. What about the wife? Maria's body was found in a corner of the kitchen with slash wounds on her head, face, shoulder, abdomen and left rib. Edward's body was found in the dining room in a supine position. He has 15 stab wounds to his chest and his neck was almost severed. He also has slash wounds on his thighs, legs, arms, face and abdomen. It was a very brutal attack. Indeed, where was Helena found? She was still hiding under the bed in the only bedroom. She was crouching with both eyes wide open and she was trembling and traumatized. She couldn't respond to any of my questions. An ambulance came and gave her medical attention and took her to hospital. What is the current status of the investigation? We're still investigating because the only eyewitness is Helena and she's still too traumatized to talk to us. Thanks for the update, Gilbert. Please keep me informed of any progress. Yes sir, I will.